Moving on, honesty. To actually become honest, first, the project manager should understand the truth by going to depth of the problem and then being truthful about learning in our own communications. So we have five aspirational conducts to follow here. We earnestly seek to understand the truth. We are truthful in our communications and in our conduct. We provide accurate information in a timely manner. We make commitments and promises, implied or explicit, in good faith. We strive to create an environment in which others feel safe to tell the truth. So here also there is one catch. When we say we provide accurate information in a timely manner, what do we mean? Is that an implication of these provisions could be that we take appropriate steps to make sure the information that we are basing on is quite reliable, accurate, and timely. So it includes you have to have courage to share bad news also. And similarly, we have mandatory conducts where we do not engage in or condone behavior that is designed to deceive others. So including again, but not limited to, making misleading or false statements, stating half truths, providing information out of the context, or withholding information that, if known, would render our statements as misleading or incomplete. So, similarly, we do not engage in the dishonest behavior with the intention of personal gain or at the expense of others. So, I think that's about it. I think the professional ethics based on the aspirational and mandatory conducts are well understood. It comes with practice based. This is not something that you should learn by heart. This is something you should practice a lot about. So, with a lot of understanding of these values, these things should come, by your heart without a second thought. So, again, do not expect any questions directly. What are the first aspirational conduct of honesty? No such questions is going to come here. These are only to set your mindset. So learn these things and then answer your exam with the help of these mindsets. Moving on, agile mindset. Let's see what we have to learn here. The agile mindset, it's broadly based on these 12 guiding principles first, based on which we have four agile values design, which we will learn in the coming slides. And then our agile mindset is properly formed. So I think we have touched upon the agile values before. So I'll just give you a summary just in a little while. But these 12 guiding principles that we see, we have not touched upon before. But it is important that you learn these to form that agile mindset. Let's quickly hover through what these guiding principles are. Again, here also I have not modified any of these guiding principles because as a project manager, we are not allowed to do so. These learning principles, they are designed based on or after so many discussions with multiple experts from multiple countries who came forward and then decided this. So just forward through them. You don't have to learn these things by heart, but read them as they are. Right? Do not modify these things because these are the principles upon which many values are based. And then upon these values, again, the mindset is formed. So the first guiding principle that we see is that our first or highest priority must be to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Here, do not get confused with the software. These guiding principles, I think I have told you about this before. In 2001, the Agile practice has started and it was designed focusing on the IT sector only. And then slowly it got started getting absorbed and getting adopted by some other companies as well. So that is the reason why we see the word software here. You can replace this word in your understanding by any product or any result that comes as an output from your organization. So moving on, the second guiding principle is that welcome changing requirements even when we are late in the development process. Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. So I think this is self-understanding. When you use agile processes, this adds up to the advantage in the competition. Right? So that is the guiding principle that we must hold on to. Moving on, deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to a couple of months with a preference to the shorter time scale. So always have to give preference to the shorter time scale. The longer process is good to have the, envision something, aspire something to become 5 years from now or 10 years from now. That's good. But it's not that good for planning because it's not so accurate. Right? So all those things are imaginary things that we aspire to do, that we wish to do. But when we talk about the project, we have to be short, we have to be concise, and we have to be very accurate, and accuracy comes when you plan for a shorter period of time. And again, another catch, please do not confuse yourself with the software here. Here you can replace this with deliver working output, any output. When I say output, it could be product, result, or a process. Moving on to the next principle, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Right? So the stress here is about the daily part, right? So we have scrum meetings, we have daily scrum meeting, we have weekly agile meetings, we have bi-weekly retrospective meeting considering 2 weeks of sprint, right? So this daily sprint is actually the most important part in the complete sprint. So I also, I think, talked about somebody complaining about this daily work, and the master might be able to modify the frequency from daily to 3 times in a week. So that is all understood and agreed. But whatever frequency that we decide to, if not daily, if it is 3 times a week, you attend this meeting all the 3 times a week, because you have proposed it to be 3 times a week. So whatever is that frequency that you come across, daily updating, daily attending that process, giving or taking these daily updates is important for the agile way of working. Moving on, build projects around motivated individuals, right? So we have learned about green zone, red zone. So green zone candidates come under this motivated individuals. So that is the reason why we have to encourage more and more people, getting transferred from red zone to the green zone. So we have to give them the environment and support that they need, and trust them to get the job done. Remember, don't let the green zone people fall towards red zone people. Moving on, the sixth principle, that is the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is a face-to-face conversation. I know with the coming of the virtual team members more and more today, we are shifting our conversation styles or meeting styles more towards these team calls or Zoom calls. But you must have already understood this difference after working for 2 years, working from home because of the corona. The virtual way of working actually slows things down, especially when you are working in a collaborative type of environment. When I say collaborative, your work has to be done only when somebody else has finished his work. So when your work is something very dependent on somebody else's work, we always have to talk to them. So if you use the electronic media or this virtual meeting style, you have to take appointment of somebody. You don't know whether that person is free, whether that person is having some other work, some other urgent priority work. They are not readily available actually. So face-to-face conversation, not just based on the availability, but also gives us a sense of personal touch. When we look at them and we talk to them, we understand their facial expressions, we understand their body language. We can set ourselves to their own comfort and then get things done quite easily. So this agile mindset prefers that there is this face-to-face conversation a lot. Okay, moving on. Working software is the primary measure of progress. So again, do not confuse yourself with the working software. Here, what the PMI actually is trying to say is we have to show the progress in the project. So working software, that actually means that we have a working progress shown in the project. So that is our primary source of measure, not the documentation, not the emails, not the beautiful PPT, which says which shows a lot of things, but then at the end of the presentation, it just gives us no progressive status, right? So we don't want such documents. The ultimate measure of progress is going to be a working result. Moving on, eighth principle, agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, the developers, and the users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. The stress here is about the constant pace. Sprint after sprint after sprint, we have a lot of sprints coming for 2 weeks, for 4 weeks, for 3 weeks, whatever was the frequency. The sprints happen continuously. Why? Because the number of tasks that we decide on a one particular sprint are to be closed in that particular sprint only. So you cannot just take away all of those tasks to the next sprint. Of course, when there is some backlog, we can constantly move that one or two backlog tasks to the next sprint. But the main target is this time boxing effect and then moving at a constant pace forward, right? And usually there is no gap between these sprints. Sprint one and sprint two, they are not 5 weeks apart or 4 weeks apart. As soon as the sprint one ends, sprint two begins. As soon as the sprint two begins, sprint three starts. As soon as the sprint two ends, sprint three starts, right? So this is a constant pace that we maintain through this agile way of working on the rolling wave methodology. But I think you get the point. Moving on.